Hello, this is Daniel Levy, the Good Mood Coach. It's Friday. I had a great session. I just want to share with you some of the wisdom and discoveries that we had together. This morning, I merited to learn from some of the teachings on faith building from Rabbi Shalom Arush Shlita. May he live for many long and blessed days to continue to spread gorgeous wisdom throughout the world. He has a book, many books, but one of them you should definitely get if you're listening to this. It's called The Garden of Emunah. Now, this other book says the following thing, that a man, I'll read it to you because it's so nice. Emunah zelatet lebore olam lenahel lacha et hachaim lekabel be'ahava et kol ma Hashem oseitcha. Faith. This is giving the creator of the world to manage your life and to receive everything that he does with you. Now, let's make that a little smoother in English. Is basically saying faith is to give, is to let the creator of the world manage your life and to accept everything he does with you. So he's coming up some like a sort of sweep in what is faith. Faith is letting the creator of your life, the creator of the world, run your life. I had some great 12-step clients, some older gentlemen, 20, 30 years sober. I learned so much from, to the point at which I want to call them up and ask them some new questions now, just to, they don't even need the session, just to learn from them. Holy men. One is named David. This David, I'm not going to tell you where in this country he is for HIPAA reasons. He taught me these AA phrases, I'm giving over the management of my life. I'm getting out of the management business. I think that explains this nice way of understanding this holy teaching of Rabbi Arush well, that a lot of times we try to do things our way, and our way gets us off the highway onto the byway and into a cul-de-sac until we're trapped. And that is a horrible place to be. And all of us who've been through anything related to this understand. Now, instead, finding ways to give over the management of our lives and let God manage our life. Let God drive the bus, they also say. Let God drive the bus. Don't make a fuss. Doom, doom, doom. God drive the bus. They don't sing this. Only I do, because I'm the only moron around here that comes up with these crazy songs. Now, so if I want to let God drive the bus, how do I do that? And what does that mean? Certainly like surrender the driver's seat. I think, unfortunately, we first have to come to a full clarity that we are not good drivers and not capable of managing things correctly. Now, I have a client I work with that has a kratom addiction they're recovering from. Kratom, a legal but dangerous substance. Not yet determined a class, whatever, 1, 2, substance. But don't go find it. It's not worth getting involved with. Now, he keeps getting relapse. Now, his mind comes to him and says, wow, you feel better. You could have one. You'll be fine. This classic addiction voice. And we discussed, what does it mean, his way versus God's way? We determined that his way was either muscling through, controlling himself, disciplining himself, like he has in many other areas of his life. He's has a successful career where he's gone from level to level by self-discipline. He goes to the gym, he eats healthy, he's got a good marriage, and so many of those things, through his own good, healthy skills, he's able to run his life. Or, if he can't, in the area of kratom, when he's having pain and anxiety, he gave in, and he would just take this kratom or this other things he's been involved with and soothe the pain and keep going. So we came to determination that is what we're going to call his way, or I'm just going to use the words my way. That's my way, the way off the highway. Then there's God's way. In his life, God's way, is not exactly using the word God. I'll explain shortly. But it's certainly a good and solid way to just turn to God and say, God, I am stuck. I Can't do this. I need your help. I'm broken. I'm cornered. I can't do this anymore. I give up. I keep trying and I can't do it. And to pray to him. There's lots of good 12-step prayers I saw, and you can make up your own, and there are many holy prayers from our holy sages we can find that say, God, I need your help. There's so many things that are more powerful than me. And I think that's a great first step. If you're watching this power class, go ahead, pause it, and write yourself a prayer. Find one area in your life that you feel is too powerful for you, whether it's your mental health, whether it's your marriage, whether it's an addiction process or a food addiction, food consumption, whether it's inability to focus on finances and be responsible, whether it's to be a patient parent. Where are you out of control and cannot control? And let's stop, pause this video, and write a prayer. Just take action right now. Don't wait. Don't say, it's a good idea, Daniel. No. Pause this video. I won't move on without you because it'll be paused. So pause the video and write yourself a prayer. I'm not going to say anything until you do. If you're still watching this, that's bad because it means you didn't pause it. Okay. I'm going to assume hopefully everyone listened and you paused it. We're going on to part 2. But can we understand, is this ever happening without the language of God? Well, in his case, I think it was. He ended up realizing he had strong anxiety, and he ended up learning some courses we recommended to him. He learned my course. He learned another course called Primal Trust Training. And he learned other emotional techniques. He learned something called VU breathing and eye techniques. He had cold showers, and he put together a really cool recipe, I think, of doing a cold shower for 10 minutes, of doing a special breathing technique and eye techniques all together at one time. Now, I thought, listening to him, and I want to share with you, that he was really going God's way. Because on the one hand, you have a way that did not work and leads to a ber shachas, to a destructive pool, swamp of bad experiences where he is lost, spending hundreds of dollars on this drug and feeling panic attacks and waves of panic attacks from the drug. And this is the drug that helped him feel free, which is for another time. But these crazy traps from the dark side, the thing that they provide, they ultimately steal back. You know, like affairs too. A person gets pleasure in the beginning and in the end feels more disconnected than he started when he wanted connection or pleasure to begin with. So the other path, though, helped him feel grounded and free of anxiety and more connected and more alive. So we came to the conclusion, by the way, there was my way off the highway and God's way down the King's highway. And this King's highway, God's way, is a good way. And how do we know which is God's way and which is my way? I want to see that my way, which is my autopilot way, the way I try to do things when I'm left to my own devices, is that original way he had. And in that way, he always would try to go he's in the driver's seat. I'm going to discipline myself, or I'm going to use this substance. The other way is, I need help. And thank God there's a technique or an approach or a way. And even though it might be the hidden hand of God, it's God's way. Maybe not explicitly and maybe not enough. So that's how we know God's way partly. Another way, Rabbi Arush Shlita teaches us an amazingly simple principle. And this principle is good leads to good and bad leads to bad. We were chuckling together, my client and I. It's like life is so simple. And he said another good concept, life is so simple and we are not. The truth is simple and clear when we look through all the garbage, and we are not. And our complexity is actually what gets us off trail. So we can use this simple mind tool. Good leads to good, bad leads to bad. If I take kratom and I go down this road, I end up in a horrible, hellish place, it's bad. And if I go down this road and do the hard work of X, Y, and Z and A, B, C, I end up in a good place. That's good. So you come to see over and over. And he's like me, in that I'm an experiential learner, and so is he, and so are many of us. So therefore, without the experience of suffering, I don't learn. I don't learn. I don't learn. So be different than I am. Be different than I am, and learn from these wisdoms in advance. Let's go on further. So now, what do I do to get the management off of my hands into God's hands? So first off, we'll realize a question. Next tool. So tool number 1 was stop and write a prayer. Tool number 2 is realize that good leads to good and bad leads to bad. It's like a thought process tool or a mindset tool. It's really, you think about wisdom. Wisdom is a tool. One piece of wisdom that you can contemplate and think about to guide us. Now, tool number 3. Tool number 3 is that, how do we get this out of myself? I think to contemplate, who's a better manager? Is God a better manager, or am I a better manager? Well, if you believe in the creator of the world, I mean, unless you have some complex theological problems and some trauma around religion, spirituality, then I think we could all quickly agree that God's a better manager than me. So who would do a better job managing my life, God or me? That might help loosen it up. So that's number 3. But let's go on. Let's go on. I think we need to understand the following. We need to understand that what we perceive is not what we ought to believe. Now, it's going to be obvious, some of the things I'm about to share, but I think if you're still into what I'm saying, if you're not, please press stop and go find something else to learn from, because the main thing is that you learn and that we grow. But if you are, we have to understand that in the moment, we need to understand that what we're perceiving in this very moment may or may not be a good idea to accept as reality and believe it. Like this. My friend, this client, right? He's in the moment, and that crazy, classic voice in his head saying, "That's a 1. What's 1? 1. What's a big deal? Have 1. Have 1 cookie. Have 1 kratom tablet. Have 1 smoke of the joint. Have 1 more cheeseburger. Have 1 more touch of what you shouldn't be touching." What? It seems like, and we discussed at the very end of our session, that the experience of being in that moment, it really seems like it's a reasonable idea. It seems like it's a reasonable idea to go my way. My way seems reasonable. And it's really the test of faith in that moment. It's such a test of faith. We need to choose to believe that what we perceive is not necessarily the good path. It seems like that what I perceive right now, that it's reasonable, it's not a bad idea. I don't know. Maybe I should go left, or maybe I should go right. Maybe I should go out tonight, or maybe I shouldn't. It all seems reasonable. And when it seems reasonable, then why would I ever not consider it? But when we get really clear, and we're like, whoa, that's a bad idea. I'm not doing that again. You know what happened last time? I had to suffer and recover for 4 weeks. My wife wouldn't talk to me for 2. I lost $40,000 at the gambling casino. When we get clear about that, it doesn't even seem like a choice. It seems like complete stupidity. But let's honor it. In that moment, it really seems like a decent idea. So, in order to get out of my own way, I'm going to need to develop faith. Faith in the good and faith in God. Now there's a second part of this. So I need to develop, to learn how to choose to believe that what I perceive is not a good road. That's it. That's another step here. But before we go, can wrap that, we really need to explore a little bit the idea of faith and gratitude. Everything that happens, the other half of Rabbi Arsh's teaching, we're exploring more depth, is L'kabel be'avet kol ma she'Hashem oseh itcha. To receive with love everything that God does with you. God is built into the idea that God's running the world and orchestrating things for me. And if I have an empty emotional experience that would be filled by hunger, and that would be filled right now by just consuming so many potato chips or popcorn or microwave food, whatever it is, then right now God is creating that harrowing, empty experience. And in order to accept it, I can't really accept something that I believe is bad. I can't. Let's be real. If we really think it's bad, we can't accept it. So there's like a work we have to do first, I think, to believe that it could be good. And Rabbi Arsh teaches in that book, The Garden of Emunah, the one I suggested you get in the beginning of this class, that step number 1 is to believe God's doing it. Step number 2, that it's good. And step number 3, that there's a message or a way to draw close to Him through this. So, and these are achievements of the mind and the heart. So we can rattle it off like this, but that's not the same as achieving it. And so the step 1 is God really orchestrating for me feelings. Yes, He put me in this situation, this life, in this time, and it's beyond the scope of this power class, but elsewhere we talk about, many other holier teachers than me talk about how to build this belief around God orchestrating events. 2, that it's good. The reason it's so important about this step is because if I don't believe something's good, I'm not going to be able to say thank you. You give me a gift. You give me a gift I don't like. Let's keep it simple. Why? You give me a gift of the exact type of thing I never want to get for my birthday. How many times can I say thank you to you? I appreciate the effort, but I don't really like it. So too, when we have moments and experiential moments that we don't like, and issues and challenges we don't like, it is not simple and normal to say thank you for that. Why would I say thank you? Why would I possibly think this is good? Think something is good, it's a big gift, and now I'm going to say thank you to you for a thing that's the biggest torturous moment of my week. Oh, thank you. But we see over time, we look back and say, wow, and this client of mine, a massive, powerful person, he said, I look back and say this anxiety and this kratom problem was good for me. I'm really growing and developing myself. Now, looking back on a problem, we can do that easier. But today we're talking about how to deal with the moment, and receive in the moment on myself that what I'm perceiving is just not really as true. So in that moment, it's hard to believe until later, maybe when I get the merit to see and believe. So I could stop and try to work on believing that it's possible. It's possible. Is it possible? That's going to be our next tool to note down. Is it possible that what I'm perceiving right now, what I'm experiencing, is for the good, and that God's doing me a favor? Is it possible? So contemplate that question. Is it possible? I really need to work on this, so don't be confused that I'm holding by all these levels. Some I've worked on a lot, and some I've worked on a little. Some I need to work on. And it's all worth it. Every step of work, I'm grateful to even have learned any of it. Now, is it possible that this is for the good? Yes, it is possible. And God is giving me a gift. So now God's giving me a gift of this challenge. If I'm good with this gift, thank you, God, for this pain, for this difficulty. I don't need to just take it away, because God knows what He's doing, and He's giving me an opportunity for great growth and change. So then I can say thank you, or I can also use this to come to believe that this is a good thing going on. And it will steal the power that says, this is horrible, I can't stand this, it'd be reasonable to take it away right now. All right. So it's a little more subtle, I think, or maybe I'm just not good at explaining this part yet. And I heard the other day that anyone who can't explain something to a 5th grader easily has not yet really mastered the thing. I think Rabbi Zegelbaum taught us that. It was a beautiful concept. So this is an idea we can use to basically say, I choose to believe that even though I don't perceive, or even though what I perceive seems reasonable, that it's not reasonable. I choose to believe that it's the wrong path. Why? Because it leads to bad. I don't care what it feels like right now, even though I perceive it as feeling like it could be reasonable and good. I choose to believe the higher truth, which is faith. I'm choosing to believe the faith, the truth that I know to be true, even though I'm not experiencing it as true. So, that's where we're going to cut it soon here. Basically, we have to realize that the bad path leads to bad, and it leads to more bad, and more bad, and more bad, and more bad, and it's simple. And the good path leads to more good, and more good, and more good, and more good. And the more that I can let God manage my life, manage it doesn't mean abdicating responsibility. Discuss that another time. It means taking responsibility, including the responsibility of allowing and finding ways of allowing God to manage my life and get off my way, which is the way off the highway to the cul-de-sac, and get onto God's way, which is the King's highway, and takes us to the best places as anyone who's even been merited and blessed to travel down seas. Thank you for the opportunity to share these ideas and teach you a little something. Any questions, any thoughts, any concerns, just let me know. Good Mood Coach, over and out. Bye.